For decades, many law firms operated within a professional culture that placed legal knowledge above nearly everything else. Strong technical expertise was considered the defining marker of a successful attorney, while communication style, responsiveness, and operational efficiency were often treated as secondary concerns. Clients accepted delayed callbacks, limited updates, and long stretches of uncertainty as part of the legal process because there were few alternatives and even fewer expectations around service experience. That model is changing rapidly. Across the legal industry, firms are facing growing pressure to rethink how they communicate, organize operations, and manage client relationships. The shift is not simply about convenience or customer satisfaction. It reflects a broader transformation in how professional services are evaluated. Clients now expect the same level of accessibility, transparency, and responsiveness from law firms that they experience in banking, healthcare, consulting, and other service-oriented industries. The firms adapting most effectively are recognizing that legal representation involves more than legal analysis alone. It also requires operational discipline, clear communication systems, and a client experience built around consistency and trust. Chris Jackman, managing attorney of the Jackman law firm, believes the legal industry is entering a period where service standards will increasingly shape how firms distinguish themselves. Clients want to feel informed and respected throughout the process, Jackman says. That doesn't mean you promise outcomes or oversimplify complex issues. It means you communicate clearly, respond consistently, and create an environment where clients are not left wondering what's happening with their matter. His perspective reflects a broader industry movement away from outdated communication habits that once defined many legal practices. One of the most common frustrations clients historically associated with legal representation was uncertainty. Clients often felt disconnected from the process after signing engagement agreements, receiving little communication unless a major development occurred. In many cases, responsiveness depended entirely on the individual habits of attorneys rather than firm-wide operational systems. That approach increasingly conflicts with modern expectations. Digital communication has fundamentally changed how people interact with professional service providers. Consumers can track financial transactions instantly, receive real-time healthcare updates through online portals, and communicate directly with businesses across multiple channels. As a result, many clients now expect legal professionals to provide a comparable level of accessibility and transparency. The legal industry has been slower than some sectors to embrace those changes, partly because legal work often involves complexity, confidentiality, and unpredictable timelines. Even so, firms that continue relying on inconsistent communication models are finding it harder to meet evolving client expectations. The old model assumed clients would simply wait because legal matters take time, Jackman says. But waiting without communication creates frustration. Most clients understand that legal processes are complicated. What they want is clarity about where things stand and what to expect next. This shift has elevated communication from an administrative function to a strategic advantage. Responsiveness is no longer viewed merely as good customer service. Increasingly, it is becoming part of how clients assess professionalism and competence. Firms that prioritize communication tend to build stronger long-term relationships because clients feel informed rather than excluded from the process. That distinction can significantly influence trust, retention, and referrals over time. The modern legal marketplace is also far more competitive than it was a generation ago. Clients have more options, more information, and greater visibility into how firms operate. As a result, service quality has become an increasingly important differentiator. Responsiveness plays a major role in that equation. Clients facing legal issues are often navigating stressful or uncertain situations. Delayed communication can amplify anxiety, even when the legal work itself is progressing appropriately. Firms that respond efficiently and maintain consistent updates are often better positioned to create confidence during those periods. Jackman believes responsiveness reflects organizational discipline as much as individual effort. Good communication cannot depend entirely on one person remembering to return a call, he says. It requires systems, accountability, and a culture that treats responsiveness as part of professional responsibility. That operational mindset is becoming more common across forward-thinking firms. Many are implementing internal communication standards, client management platforms, automated scheduling systems, and structured workflows designed to improve consistency. Technology alone does not solve communication problems, but it can support better organizational habits when used intentionally. Importantly, clients are not necessarily demanding constant contact. Most simply want predictability and transparency. They want to know their concerns are being acknowledged and their matters are receiving attention. This has led many firms to rethink how they define professionalism internally. Historically, professionalism in legal settings was often associated primarily with courtroom skill, negotiation ability, or technical expertise. While those remain essential, operational excellence is increasingly viewed as part of the professional standard as well. The legal side matters tremendously, of course, Jackman says. But professionalism also includes how you manage expectations, how accessible you are, and whether your systems support clear communication. Clients experience all of those things directly. Technology has accelerated many of these changes, particularly since clients now expect faster access to information across nearly every industry. Modern firms are using technology not only to improve efficiency internally but also to strengthen communication externally. Secure client portals, digital document management, automated updates, online scheduling, and integrated communication platforms have become more common across the legal profession. These tools allow firms to reduce administrative bottlenecks while creating a more transparent client experience. At the same time, technology has also raised expectations. Clients accustomed to instant access in other parts of their lives are less tolerant of prolonged silence or unclear processes. Firms that fail to modernize operationally may find themselves struggling to meet baseline service expectations, regardless of legal capability. Still, technology alone cannot replace leadership or accountability. Poor communication habits can persist even inside technologically advanced organizations if service standards are not clearly prioritized. Jackman believes leadership plays a critical role in establishing consistency within a firm. Clients notice whether communication is organized or reactive, he says. That starts with leadership setting expectations internally. If responsiveness matters to the firm, it has to be reflected in daily operations and accountability. This emphasis on operational culture is becoming increasingly important as firms grow. Maintaining consistent service standards across teams requires systems, training, and oversight rather than relying solely on individual personalities or informal habits. The legal industry ultimately runs on trust. Clients often seek legal guidance during moments involving uncertainty, financial pressure, business challenges, or major life decisions. In those situations, communication becomes closely tied to confidence. Trust is rarely built through isolated interactions alone. More often, it develops through consistency over time. Firms that communicate clearly, establish realistic expectations, and remain accessible throughout the process tend to strengthen client relationships even when matters become complicated or stressful. Conversely, inconsistent communication can undermine confidence regardless of legal outcomes. This is one reason many modern firms are focusing more heavily on operational accountability. Strong service standards help create predictability, and predictability helps build trust. Jackman believes transparency is particularly important because legal matters often involve uncertainty that cannot be fully eliminated. You can't always control timing or complexity, he says. But you can control whether clients feel informed and whether they understand what's happening. That level of communication creates stability even when situations evolve. This approach reflects a broader cultural shift occurring throughout professional services. Increasingly, expertise alone is no longer viewed as sufficient. Clients expect expertise to be paired with accessibility, organization, and responsiveness. The firms adapting most effectively are not necessarily reinventing legal practice itself. Rather, they are modernizing how legal services are delivered and experienced. As the legal profession continues evolving, client experience is likely to remain a defining area of transformation. Firms that embrace higher service standards are positioning themselves for stronger long-term relationships, greater operational efficiency, and increased client confidence. That does not mean reducing legal work to customer service metrics or prioritizing speed over substance. Instead, it reflects a growing recognition that communication, transparency, and accountability are fundamental components of professional excellence. The legal industry has traditionally measured success through technical outcomes and professional credentials. Those factors will always matter. But increasingly, clients are also evaluating how firms operate, how consistently they communicate, and whether they create a sense of trust throughout the process. For attorneys like Jackman, that evolution represents a positive shift for the profession. The firms that stand out moving forward will be the ones that combine strong legal work with strong operational discipline, Jackman says. Clients expect both now, and honestly, they should. As client expectations continue rising across industries, the law firms best positioned for long-term growth may not simply be the ones with the strongest legal capabilities. They may also be the ones that understand responsiveness, organization, and communication are no longer optional features of modern legal service. They are part of the standard clients increasingly expect.